Hey guys, how's it going? How's it going? Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you
fine.
can. Perfect. I'm just giving it a few minutes here to let people join. But yeah, so that was a problematic hour that I had there.
Yeah.
Uh, I've had an unexpected power cut, and yeah, didn't know what to do about that. And yeah, not even any inclement weather or anything. It was just a random power outage. So we will see. You know what? I believe we had one last night in the middle of the night because our fire alarms all went off at 2 a.m. and got the fright of our life waking up at 2 a.m. That's fun. Didn't have a clue. You know, when you wake up and you don't really know what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
That was us last. So the joys still don't really know what happened. It just sort of stopped. And then, oh, no idea. The whole house. So yeah, the joys. Anyway, we're here today. Does anyone else or does anybody have any questions they wanted to cover before we dive in to today's workshop? Let me know in the chat or raise your hand. And thanks everybody for the flexibility today. Tomorrow I'm traveling. So the day we are
Just
doing. Yeah, go
just a
for it. Yeah.
quick question. Yeah, just a quick question, Neil. I'm having like I had a chatbot before, and I put the AI voice agent. But I get a feeling that every time, is there a way not to have the agent create a contact every time someone engaged? Because basically, I saw, for example, for that client, there's a lot of bad traffic, tourists, whatever, or people who are not interested in the product, who don't understand what it sells, and trying, for example, to buy, a normal trampoline to put in your garden instead of a trampoline park, that kind of things. So, and that basically that junk up his contacts database. And then it's a lot of manual work to remove all these people. Is there a way to, define some stuff for the in the behavior of the agent to make sure that he only creates the contact when some information have been collected, or so when some specific request has been done?
You could probably train it to only consider it a lead if they say a certain term. So maybe it's a tricky one because it's quite a broad topic, but because trampoline wouldn't work, it would have to be. But again, that could people could call that 10 different things, right? So it would have to be.
Yeah, no, the thing that we can do that if they request a quote or an estimate, for example, or things like that. But right. I don't want to only limit. Well, I'm afraid that if we limit only to that, like for example, I had another one who put like some pictures in the conversation of things that he had seen and asking like, can you do that? What would be the price for that? So it needs to be that could be considered as the lead for them. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Unless you put almost like a negative keyword in there. But the thing is, I would call it. It's a very tricky one for that particular industry because they could call it a trampoline, and they could, especially if there's different.
Oh no, but I give you the example of the trampoline. But for example, like slide as well, like in an indoor playground in an indoor playground, you sometimes have owners who wants to add an extra slide, for example, or tower with a slide as a separate part.
Is that considered a bad lead?
No, that's a good lead. But like someone who wants just to put a slide in the garden for the kids, that's a bad lead. See?
Yeah.
That's the difference. Yeah.
Okay. What you could say is something along the lines of what type of, it's typically a business owner, right? Or is it local councils and
Well,
municipalities.
it's either a business owner or an entrepreneur who wants to start that kind of business, or it can be also like how you call that, like a mall architect, a mall developer, for example, who wants to include that in their mall, or there's a lot of different possibilities in that way in terms of personas. So yeah.
What if, instead of trying to sense what the prospect is wanting, what if you had something that said, to clarify, to make sure this is the right, to make sure we're on the same page. This is what we do, is we work with, or we install children's play centers, etc., into businesses. Do you understand this? Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Or no. So then if they say no, that's not what I'm looking. Is that what you're looking for? If they say no, then that's not. Then you could ask a few other questions, like, what is it you're looking for? And then you can filter from that point. That way you're not losing. The leads you're filtering based on the response to the question.
Because especially because it's in Africa, there's a lot of education to be done about like what it takes to open that kind of in terms of budget, what it takes to open that kind of structure, So that's that's a big job to filter and to do that. But like I told you in the chat, like now that we have that option of like financing of a franchise and opening his own centers, and like with the volume, I really want to make him happy on his own websites as a manufacturer, so like that I can be partnering with the franchise,
Yeah, definitely. I think you just do it by the questions you ask. I think you just make sure you ask a particular question that would or the person looking to
qualify early into into the type.
And it's not even qualification in terms of financial, it's just simply
no, of course.
The right thing. Yeah.
But do you think that then I should create a separate bot and then you switch from one agent to the other one agent if they just want like basic question, like, like just for support and FAQ, different than just trying to qualify when they want a quote?
Well, what benefit would that have though? Because if
but the one, the fact that then when they are transferred to the FAQ only, then it doesn't put any specific contact info in the database. But yeah.
Okay, so this is for the bad leads, basically.
Yeah.
Well, the honest answer is that the thing that the AI employee says, "Oh, I'm going through a tunnel," and it cuts off the line. But that would be the terrible problem. You could put them on something a bit more pleasant and just say this. Sorry, we couldn't help you.
I will think a little bit more about it, but that's a good indication already. Thank you.
No worries. All right. Does anybody else have any questions they wanted to cover before we dive in? I'll come back around again at the end as usual for questions, but anybody else have anything they wanted to ask? Feel free to unmute yourself. If not, we can dive into the training. No one? Okay, perfect. All right. So today's training is, I'm trying to assess if it's going to be a bigger one. Let me see here. Maybe. But basically, today is quite an important session because if you have been with us over the past 2 weeks, we've covered day 1 and day 2 of creating the 3-day workshop. And today is where we start to introduce, where we introduce the pitch into this, how we actually get the customer to purchase, to book a call, and when I say call, it's not really a sales call, it's more like an order taking call, because as you will see here, they are pre-sold. They know what they're coming in for, they know the price points, they know everything. So this is basically how we do that, and it's very important because there's a certain flow we have to go through. There's a certain position that we put them in. So we're going to dive straight in here now. As ever, if you have any questions throughout, feel free to unmute yourself and just talk over me. It's not a problem at all. I'll pause. And answer your question. So in terms of what day 3 is actually about, we promised no pitch on days 1 and 2, and we kept our word with that prospect. Today, in day 3, we deliver the promise, we reveal the path they have to take, and we offer a fast track. So we're not pitching or selling, we offer a fast track through that process. And the goal is to make buying the natural next step for them. Now, over the last few weeks, we covered what goes into day 1 and day 2. And day 1, we expose the problems and the gap, and we create hope. So with day 1, we wanted to expose the problems, but run parallel to them. So we're not directly saying, pointing the finger at them and saying, you have this problem. No. We are exposing the problem by running parallel. We give them something they can relate to. Is this something they can see themselves in other people? Other people have this problem, and they might just think, oh, you know what? I have that too. Then we create the gap. So from those who struggle to those who are the most successful, what do they do differently? This becomes the gap, right? This is what they have to do, or this is the distance between where they are right now today and where they want to be. And then finally, we have to build the hope back up again. People do not buy in a position of fear. They buy in a position of hope. So here, where we're exposing the problem, here where we're creating the gap, it can create that sort of sense of fear. So we have to make sure in the end of day 1, we transition to building the hope back up. And then in day 2, we covered showing them exactly what the most successful people do, what this actually looks like within a business. So we showed them this is what the most successful people do. In the context that we were working in was with AI Legacy, and it was the how they focus, how they use the AI employees, how they use database reactivation, the automations. We weren't selling them the service. We were simply saying, this is what they're doing differently. They have automations that reactivate their database, that make them more money from their existing leads. They have automations that bring all the reviews in, so they get chosen first over you. They have referrals coming in all the time because they've got automations that work the referrals. They never miss phone calls, which means if they run marketing campaigns with ads or even just on Google search, they're not losing the low-hanging fruit, whereas the ones who struggle might be losing the low-hanging fruit. So they can run parallel to that. So we're showing them, we're not saying you have to have this service. We're simply saying this is what they do, and this is why they're successful, and this is why other people struggle. And then what we did was we showed them exactly what this means by numbers. So we're not just giving them descriptions of what it means. We actually directly focus on the numbers, right? What it means to them financially. And then finally, we created an environment where they start to visualize the system within their business. And that's very important because day 1 was exposing the problems, building the gap, creating the hope. Day 2 is where we start to think about, okay, how does this actually work in my business? What would this look like? What if I had someone answering the phone for me? What if I had an AI employee doing that? What if I had referrals coming in every day? They start to visualize it in their own business. And this is part of the sales process. In a sales call or during a sales call, oftentimes you want that prospect to visualize what it feels like to have your product or service. You want it to be, want them to think about, well, what if you woke up on a Monday morning and your calendar was packed? What would that look like? How would it feel? You want them to feel this. So what we're doing in day 2 is actually allowing them to feel what this is like, because it does the selling for us. So now we have created a position where the prospects can see the problem that they're facing clearly. They can but they're not defensive about it, because remember I said we run parallel to the problem. We run alongside it. So their guard doesn't go up. They don't feel afraid. They don't feel demoralized. They feel as if it's a soft feeling of, I do have that problem because I can see it in other people, but it's okay because other people have that too, and I'm learning how to fix that. It creates an acceptance for having the problem. So they can see the problem that they're facing. They can see the gap to solving that problem. It has created a desire to solve the problem and identify with the most successful people. So I've created this desire for the outcome that is achieved by solving the problem. And then I've got them to think and want to become the most successful people, that type of person. They will also have built hope that the problem can be solved because they've seen the mechanism in day 2. They know what the solution to the problem looks like, and they know what this means financially for them and logically. And they have started to visualize the system naturally within their business and answered their own objections. This is what happens. How many times have you heard, if you've ever done any sales training at all, you would have heard that if you just let a prospect talk, they'll talk themselves in circles and naturally answer their own questions. It happens all the time. This is why they say the best salespeople talk the least or speak the least. It's because they allow the prospect to speak and they give all the answers away. That's what happens. So naturally, what we're doing here in day 2 is creating a scenario where they're answering their own objections. We don't even have to answer them. And this is an excellent position to put the prospect into, and it leads us on nicely to day 3. Now, day 3. At this point, we have built a significant amount of trust and, of course, time spent with us. After day 1, they're thinking about their problems and they're hoping for a better tomorrow. They're asking questions. Before day 2, they're rewatching day 1. They're refreshing their mind on their problems to get ready for day 2. So it's like rubbing salt in the wounds, right? We're agitating that particular problem in the morning before day 2 starts. Then they consume day 2, where they build that desire and remove their own objections, basically selling themselves for you. You don't even have to do it. After day 2, so day 2 finishes, they're asking very direct questions about their business and how it applies to their business. So what does it look like? So the questions become a lot more contextual. They become a lot more, how would this work in this scenario? Very specific scenarios. You'll see the pattern. It becomes very specific because they're connecting it to their business for you. Then before day 3 starts, once again, they are refreshed. We send an email with the refresher of day 2 on the email, which is, again, more time spent with you. Then we promised them we would not pitch and we would not sell anything in day 1 or 2. And this creates a sense of trust and safety, right? Because we have stuck to our word. Nobody else in the industry sticks to their word. It's always a backhanded pitch, right? We're sticking to our word, and it builds that sense of trust. Now, this accumulation of time spent and repeatedly sticking to our word separates us from any competition, and it creates this safe environment where the prospect can lower their guard and feel ready to buy. This makes the difference. We don't have to pitch. The prospect is literally waiting to buy at this point, which is an incredible shift in perspective. Imagine a scenario where the prospect was just waiting for you to finish so they could buy the product. Well, this is the reality. This is what we're creating here. It's a perspective shift. So, as we progress, the concept for day 3 is to, number 1, further stick to our promise and give them exactly what we said we would. Now, we said in day 2 that in day 3, we would show them what it takes to build the system that solves their problems. We're going to show them. So we're going to show them what it takes and the reality behind solving this problem. And then we're going to give them the ability to fast track this. Now, one important part here, at the end of day 2, I do say I'm going to also show you how you can fast track this whole process. So I'm not telling them I'm going to pitch. I'm telling them that I'm going to show them how to fast track. So they're waiting to know. This creates a sense of comfort, right? And we're going to come on to this in a few minutes. But once they see what's coming next, what you're about to see here, once they see the extent of the build out, they're going to be in a position of overwhelm, right? And we've got to be very careful with what we do here. So by doing this, what I'm doing is I'm planting the seed in their mind that there's an easier way. So they're watching it sort of with one eye shut, right? They're sitting there thinking, I really want this. This looks great. It looks overwhelming. But he mentioned something yesterday about a fast track. So it's okay. I'm going to hang on. Wait a second. I'm going to go through this because I know there's a fast track coming. So they're waiting for it. So I planted the seed in their head. But notice once again, I didn't say pitch because we're never pitching. We're simply fast tracking the solution to their problem. Now, we're simply fast tracking. We're not trying to pitch some service. I'm not trying to sell them a service or be descriptive about that service. That has been what the positioning of the last 2 days have been about, putting them in a position where they want the solution to the problem. They understand what it is. They just want to go faster. They want to remove the friction. We give them the entire solution in day 3 to do it themselves. But buying becomes the easiest next step for those that value speed and certainty over any effort, which is the vast majority of the population. Now, they can go do this themselves. People often ask me, but couldn't they just take this and go do it themselves? Absolutely. That's what I want them to do. I want them to do this, but I know they won't, and I'll explain why. And it's not because people are lazy. Now, the first thing we need to do is to create something that I call the gulf. We need to stress that in order to achieve the outcome they want, they need to get this right. They have to do this right. This means that any half-baked solution doesn't work. If they want to do this, they have to do it right. So what am I doing? I'm creating a gap here, right? Between just doing it and having expertise and doing it. Quality, of course, takes time to build. And then I'm going to anchor this again. Watch what I'm doing here. But one of the things that separates those who struggle with those who are successful is the willingness and perseverance to do the hard work. If they want to become the version of themselves they know they can be, they have to replicate what the most successful people do. And those people don't half-bake this. They do it the right way. If they build half of this, if they get it wrong, it won't work. They want it to work, so they need to do it right. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. Now, I'm about to show you some magic here, but what I want you to notice about this is I'm preparing them for the hard work. I'm not showing them this dramatic thing they've got to build. I'm literally preparing them psychologically for the hard work. So I'm getting them to think, okay, I can do it. I understand. I knew it was coming. I can do this. I can definitely do this, because it creates a sense of hope again, right? And what we're going to see as we progress through this is, if you think about this image here, right? This one here. If the prospect feels overwhelmed, they fall off. If they feel like there's too much expertise, too much risk, they fall off. So I have to make sure they don't feel overwhelmed. Now, what I want to do is I want to use hope to sort of keep them bobbing around here, right? This is where hope is. And if I start to say it requires a lot of hard work, a lot of expertise, a lot of time. You can feel their energy going away down here. But then I can sprinkle in hard work, but there's an easier way. Hard work, but there's an easier way. You see, I can bring them back up here again every time by building in hope. So I've got to keep them around about here. Otherwise, they will never buy. But again, don't worry too much. We're going to come on to this. Just let me grab one sip of water here. 1 sec. So I've prepared them here for the hard work, but here's the magic. Right now, at this point in time in the workshop, your prospect, their motivation is at its peak, just like in January, right? Let's think about the health and fitness world. January 1st, everybody's motivation, including mine, is at its peak. They want to get ripped. They want to have six-pack abs. They want to feel good, healthy. Everyone's super motivated. Everyone's looking at those pictures and thinking, you know what? This is the year. This is when I'm going to do it. And you're willing to do the hard work. Right? You buy the gym membership. You want to go. You show up every day for the first 7 days. You eat your broccoli. And that's just how it works in the first 7 days. Everyone is motivated. And they start getting into the hard work. And it's okay. At first, they do it. It's okay. They progress. They move along. Now, right now, we have the prospect positioned where they want it. They accept that they need to do this hard work. They confirm to themselves it's time, that they are willing to do the hard work, but deep down, they don't really want to do it. Their motivation right now will get them moving. Now, we'll come on to this January 1st example, so I want you to park that thought for a second, and we're going to come on to it in 2 slides' time. I'm going to explain this in a bit more detail, but I want you to think about that in terms of motivation factors. Initially, in a workshop, it's like January 1st. They're super excited. But then we come to the hard work component. This is where the first 7 days in January, where you start going to the gym, and you feel tired, you feel stressed, you feel overwhelmed, you hate the broccoli, and your motivation drops and drops and drops and drops. Then, of course, they reach the area down here where they quit, they give up. So this is no position to buy anything. So if our workshop is creating so much overwhelm, showing them the solutions, they're way down here where they effectively would give up on themselves. They're never going to buy up here, ever. So what do we have to do? Again, we've got to keep them on these lines. We've got to make sure that their energy stays high. This motivation extends despite the overwhelm. So we'll continue, but park this thought for a second. So now that we have prepared them for the hard work, so I've told them it's going to be hard work. They have to accept it. That's what winners do. I've got them super motivated. They're excited. They're ready to do the hard work, but they haven't quite experienced it yet. They're determined, and they've accepted that it's not going to be easy, but it will be worth it. Now I'm going to expose the gulf. I'm going to show them what building this system actually takes. So I'm creating that pain. And this is just an example diagram, just FYI. Now, I'm creating this thought process of, I really want to do this. I'm determined, but whoa, this is quite a lot. I'm not sure I can do it. And if I can do it, it's going to take me a really long time, but I do really, really want to do it. Then, once we've put them in that position, once we've got them to have the desire, but to see the extent of the build, we're going to take all that pain away from them with a done-for-you solution where they get the outcome without having to do all of the hard work. And this mental positioning is why the close rates are so high. I want you to pause here for a moment. The fact that we have prepared them for the hard work, we've allowed them to accept the fact that it's going to be hard and difficult. We've shown them what it takes. So we've created a little bit of self-doubt. We've created the excitement. Everyone's super pumped on January 1st to get ripped, right? Everyone is. But we've created that little sense of difficulty. right when they're the most motivated. See, most people don't do this. Most people, what they do is they try to build the dream. And this creates customers that are problematic after the sale because they were built on a dream and not on the reality. So what we're doing here is when they're most excited, they're in the depths of the workshop with us here. They want to implement, they're really excited. They've got the solution to their problem. Now I'm going to show them how hard it actually is to just lower that excitement just a little bit, to just agitate it just a touch. And then once they feel that agitation, it tees me up perfectly to offer the done-for-you solution. Now, I want you to think about it like this. January 1st, people are really motivated to lose weight. They want to hit the gym. They want to eat really, really well. They know that the people they want to look like do this, and they put in this work. They're up at 5 a.m. going runs. They're, cooking chicken for all week on a Monday morning. So they're going to do it too because they want that outcome. They want that dream. They're going to do this. But then 7 days go by. They're sick and tired of eating salads. They're exhausted having gone to work and having to work out after work. They just want a damn cheeseburger at this point, right? That's all they want. It's painful. Motivation starts to dwindle. They still want the outcome. It's still early on. They're not completely demoralized yet, but it's hard. They still want to look like the model that they want to look like. They want that outcome, but it's hard. Then all of a sudden, on day 7, Ozempic comes along and helps them achieve the same outcome without all of the pain they experienced. Would they buy it at that point? Remember, they still want the outcome. They just don't want the pain anymore. They've felt the pain. They've experienced the pain. Of course, they're going to buy it. The Ozempic sales go through the roof at this point. So what you'll see is Ozempic sales will not spike January 1st. They're going to spike in February because people have felt the pain. So you see how this works. The desire is there. They feel the pain. Then they have the solution for that pain with the same outcome, and it sells like crazy. What we're doing here is creating the same effect, except I'm not doing it over the course of 7 days or a month. I'm actually doing it over the course of a 3-day workshop, and in specifically day number 3. Day number 3, I'm taking them through this emotional roller coaster. That's what's happening. That's the outcome. And this is a great example because it's very relatable to many, many people, right? It's something we've all probably experienced at one point or another for our health. So it can really explain the emotion people have. We just condense that into day 3. This is the emotional journey we take them through. And this is probably the most important secret of the whole workshop process. So if you do have questions about this part, do let me know, because now would be a good time to ask those questions while we're on the topic. So if you do have, let us know. Now, what we do is we create the same effect. This is called the gulf. This is the gulf, right? This is the gap, and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. They still want the outcome, and we all of a sudden can solve that outcome with our product and service. So in the context of the AI Legacy offer, simply as an example, now remember, you can use this process for any offer that you want to, any service, any niche, it does not matter. Whatever it is, you can do it. I'm going to continue just like I did on week 1 and week 2 to give you this in the context of the AI Legacy system. Now, with the AI Legacy system, the prospects want to make more money with less effort. They want to reactivate their database and make additional profit from the leads they already have without spending a fortune on marketing. They want to win more local business by building the reputation. They want to build their customer base without spending money by getting consistent referrals. They want to maximize the lifetime value of every customer by using the nurture systems. And they want to capture every lead and make the most from every dollar spent with an AI employee answering calls for them 24/7. This is the outcome they want, right? That was the individual services. That's what you have here, the individual services. But you'll see I'm positioning them as outcome. Very short, sweet, outcome focused here. So I take them through what the automations that actually work look like. I show them the depths of these automations, all the different logic trees, decision trees, the branches, etc. All of this. We show them everything so they can get a big picture. Now, if you look back and think back to the AI Legacy workshop, do you remember, for anybody who was on it, do you remember when I zoomed out and just showed the database reactivation workflow? What about the knowledge bases, the depth of those knowledge bases? Remember I showed you the extent of those? That's it in action. That's exactly what we're doing. We're creating the gulf there, right? That's exactly what we're doing. So this is what this is all about. You see the depth of the work that we're doing. They start to say, that looks incredible. I really want that, but that looks like a lot of work. It really does. But I still really want it. I still really want the outcome because it's all outcome focused. So then I show them the example of an AI employee. I show them the extent of what it takes to build one of these, how much work goes into the knowledge base to create them so that they're very, very effective, so that they actually can replace an employee. And I'm showing them that it's not just a generic script, it's actually trained on their business, it's trained on sales, it knows what to say, and I show them the extent of this. Then you've got the nurture, reviews, and referral automations. I show them the extent of the nurture sequences and how it keeps a customer warm for months with all of the steps and all of the emails. And I'm not taking them through it one by one. I'm not showing them here's step one, here's step two. No. I'm just giving them a brief overview because if I go any deeper, it's going to cause the overwhelm. Remember what I said. We have to keep that person in a position where they don't fall too deep into overwhelm. They stay in that hopeful stage with a little bit of nervous energy. That's the perfect recipe. That's what I'm looking for. So I show them the review automations, referral automations, and what it takes to build these, how many hours it takes to build these. But while I do this, I always reinforce the outcome. So why the build is worth the work. Again, remember what I said. I have to build hope here. I can't leave them in a position of overwhelm. I have to remind them why they're doing it and why they want to do it. For example, because when a lead is searching for services and they don't have many or recent reviews, the prospect skips over them. Or when a prospect finds them on Google and calls, if they don't pick up, they call the next operator on Google. So they lose this low-hanging fruit. I have to tie it to the outcome over and over again because this keeps them so much higher on the excitement curve. It's like playing with their psychology a little bit, right? I know where it's going to be. I know where if I give too much, it's going to be in the demotivated stage. It's going to be an overwhelm. It's going to be self-sabotage, all these undesirable states if we push it too far. So I have to think about it like riding a wave. I've got to stay on top of it. And you've got to balance the hope and the fear. The two. We're somewhat, again, I'm always careful with what I say because I don't want to sound as if we're controlling what someone's thinking. But to an extent, I'm playing with the psychology a little bit, where I'm making sure it's balanced. I'm making sure that I'm not giving too much overwhelm, but I'm giving them a little bit of nervousness, but then building it back up with the outcome and the hope, reminding them. That's the idea here. And this part is so important. Remember back in day one, I said if people do not buy from a position of fear or even frustration, they buy from a position of hope. If you simply show them what it takes to build these systems, you're going to lose that hope. Now, one important notes here, and it's very, very important. So listen closely. This might seem like there's a lot to think about. Obviously, we're going to standardize this process for you, so it's much, much easier. But once you understand how this works, once you understand why we're doing it, you're never going to struggle again, because you'll understand how to sell anything to anyone at any point. You'll understand how to put them in the position. You'll understand how people think. You won't look at the world the same way anymore, because you'll understand why people make certain decisions, why they do certain things. You just, it's like it's almost like you have this out of body experience, without going too far down that path, where you're now looking at everything from a third person perspective. You stand outside and you watch how people move, what they talk about, why they say certain things, and you can predict what they're going to say. Why? Simply because you learn this. You learn how to control the psychology. You learn how to predict what people are thinking based on what you say. Therefore, you can control what you say to make them think certain things. You see how that works both ways? So it's very, very important. So don't feel as if this is too much. This is a turning point. This is something that, if you can understand this and get your head around it, it is worth it in the long run, simply because you have complete control. So we will continue here. I need to show them what it takes to build an AI employee or a robust database reactivation automation, then position the outcome right there beside it to build the hope and excitement back up. Now, I didn't intend on doing this, but I want you to think back to the sentence I just said. Again, I did not intend for that to happen. That was completely off the cuff. But what I inadvertently did was, I could see how you would become overwhelmed by looking at all the different psychological cues. And what did I do? I reminded you of the outcome of why we're doing this, right? I didn't mean to do that, but you see how you just start doing it naturally. It becomes natural, second nature to do this. But again, you do it in everything. It's how you learn to speak. It's like learning how to speak again, but it is incredibly powerful. So again, I've got to show them what it takes to build the AI employee, a robust database reactivation automation, then position the outcome right there to build the hope and the excitement back up in them, rather than seeing the extent of the automation and then feeling deflated or defeated, dropping all the way down that excitement curve where they never ever buy. I drop in a little sprinkle of hope and outcome to keep them excited, hopeful, but a little bit nervous. That's the effect this has. It creates that sort of nervous, excited energy. They have a little drop of the good type of fear here. They want it, but it's a little bit daunting, but the outcome is worth it. And this creates what I call the gulf. They have the outcome. They know how to get there. They have that nervous energy because there's a drop of fear combined with the excitement. And now it's time for me to solve that problem. And here comes the Ozempic. So I start to build the what if here. I sympathize with them here. I'm under no illusion that this takes build out. I know this is hard. I know this isn't easy. I know there's a learning curve here. And I know that it takes time to build. And listen, I know it's not their fault that they don't know how to do this. They've never been taught this. No one ever showed them how to do it. It's not their fault, but this is when it changes, because the outcome is worth it. And once they understand this, again, you'll notice I've used that term a lot. Once you understand this, it's a psychological cue. So once they understand this, everything is going to become easier. Now, the upside to installing this system into their business is so high that it's worth that little bit of pain, right? I mean, again, now I'm going to transition here. Just to note, I'm going to transition into as if I was finishing the end of a workshop here. So act as if I'm speaking to the prospect here, or you're speaking as me to the prospect. So the upside to installing the system into your business is so high, it's worth that little bit of pain, right? I mean, you could be making an extra 50K a year just by doing it and recovering the low-hanging fruit that you're missing out on without even really trying. Just the stuff you're missing out on. Imagine how much easier it would be with an extra 50K kicking around. And that's the low side. That's if it doesn't even work that well. So it's worth it, right? It's worth it. I mean, if you just get through that build out, you have the machine that runs automatically year after year after year. But there it is again, the hope, right? There's the hope. Then we can make the transition. Now, as I said, I'm not under any illusions. I know this isn't easy. I know it's incredible. I know everybody really wants it. And I know it's a complete no-brainer to install it into your business. So I'm telling them how to think here. But remember, we're teaching them how to think, how to see things, how to think like the most successful people. I know it would make a big difference to your business. By this point, you see what the most successful people do differently. It's right there in front of you. You know exactly where it is. So I'm like anchoring identity here. Again, the most successful people. I'm closing the gap a little bit. It's right there in front of you. You can almost touch it. The blueprint, the roadmap, it's right here. It's now whether you decide to do it or not. You just need to make sure that you do it right. Otherwise, it won't be as impactful. So again, creating a little bit of risk psychologically for doing it themselves. I'm not saying if you do this yourself, you're going to mess it up. I'm just dropping the pebble in the pond. They've got to get it right. But this is the answer. You can do this yourself. You have everything that you need to do. You've seen what it looks like. You know exactly how to do it. You know all the pieces. Now you just have to go out there and build it. So I'm creating the pain, the next step, the pain of the next step. They really want it. It is right in front of them. Now they've just got to go build it. Okay, that sounds quite tough to do that. Now, if you are busy and you want to install this into your business and you see the power of it, but you just want people to build this, you just want people who build this day in, day out, who know what they're doing and will make sure it is built the right way, connecting it there. And you can just skip the learning curve and have it built into your business in the next 7 days. Well, I've got something special for you. We can actually fast track this entire process for you. Again, I'm not listing services here, right? I'm just fast tracking. My team can build all of this out for you extremely quickly. This means you can have it up and running within a week rather than spending 9 months building it yourself. And I say this because that's what it took me when I first built it out. Now, what I'm about to show you is going to make this a complete no-brainer. Again, I'm telling them how to think. People want to know how to think. This is why so many things in life give you an opinion. They will tell you what to think about something. That's why people follow others, because they want to be told what to think. They want to be told, yeah, that's what I should do. This is why political parties exist, because it tells them how to think. It gives them the opinion of certain things in life, whether it's right or wrong. It's why people have beliefs in religion as well, because it tells them a certain way of thinking. And all of it works. All of it is exactly the way it should be. But it's just so you can see between the lines a little bit. That's, think about that. It's true. They tell you how to think. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to tell them how to think. We will build absolutely everything out for you. Now, the key term, absolutely everything, that has weight behind it, right? Because it makes it seem like there's a lot to build out. So it reinforces that this is a lot. We will build all of your automations and your workflows. Then I remind them, remember that image I showed you with all those branches and all those decision trees that look like a minefield? Again, tell them how to think. I'm building acceptance that they found that quite overwhelming. We will take care of all of it. Short sentence, right? We will take care of all of it. Why? because it stops their concern so abruptly. Done. It's out their mind. We've fixed it. They'll take care of all of it. You don't have to do anything. We write all your emails. We set up your review systems to ensure customers don't skip over your business. Again, outcome. Don't skip over your business and choose your business instead of a competitor. We set up your referral systems to drive new customers through your door without having to pay for them. We'll reactivate your older leads with the built-out automation, pulling additional profit from what you already have without having to spend a fortune. We'll build and train a completely custom AI employee who knows all about your business, all the ins and the outs, your offers, your products, your services. It knows them in depth. It will work around the clock, and it's completely trained on sales. It knows how to sell. We do all of this, and we'll have your first campaign launched within 7 days. So make it tangible, right? They can almost touch 7 days. By next Tuesday, this could all be live. My first campaign could be live. It's that fast. They can almost touch it. So I'm bringing it closer to, remember I created the gulf. Now I'm bringing it so close they could almost touch it. Now, we're going to come on to price here. I'm going to price anchor. And I'm going to say again, imagine I'm speaking to the prospect. Now, I know what you're thinking here. That sounds great. Taking care of all of this for me. I really want this, but I don't have the time to build it myself. But for a service like that, I mean, for a service that could make me 100K extra per year and last years, maybe even turning that 100K into 200 or 300,000 over the course of 3 years, it must cost a fortune. It must. Most people would pay $50,000 to make 100K, right? Like they would. Again, telling them what to think. Doubling their money is an incredible return on investment. I mean, most of the time people invest 50K to make 10% back, never made 100K. So again, bringing context. We've got to bring real world context into this so that they start to connect of, oh yeah, that actually is ridiculous. The double of my money, that's incredible. That is worth 50K then, definitely. It would make complete sense for you to do that. Pay $50,000, then the system drives revenue through your business for years. It makes complete sense. Now, what I'm doing here, I'll come on to it in a few seconds, is I'm price anchoring the mind. So I'm getting their mind used to a much higher price point. So they're listening to me say, I have it in one slide for you here, but it would be done, you know, they would see 50K, 25, 12, 5, then the real price over the course of 4 or 5 slides. So they wouldn't see this. I'm doing it here so you can get the big picture, right? But that's the idea. So I'm price anchoring. I'm setting their expectations really high so that when we get to this price, it seems tiny compared to it. But it doesn't seem tiny in a discounting way. It seems tiny in the fact that we have set their expectations that it's worth a lot more. We aren't just saying it's worth 50K. I'm giving them logic as to why it's worth that money. No one ever does this, but this works. So the good news for you today is that it doesn't cost that to have my team install this for you. In fact, it doesn't even cost a fraction of that. Even if I cut that in half and I made it $25,000, it would make even more sense. It could deliver an incredible return within your business. Now, note what I'm doing here again, price anchoring, setting expectations far higher than the reality, which is going to change their perception of the true price. It tells them how to value the service. We don't let them value it on their own. Why? Because they don't have any comparables. It's not like buying a car where you can compare the price of a Honda to another comparable car, or a Ferrari or whatever, right? They don't have those price points that give them context to compare other prices to. They don't have that in this industry because everything can be so different. So it's like if you think about this blank space, all they're doing is listening to the price, and on that particular day, viewing it however they feel like viewing it. Maybe it was an expensive day. Maybe the car broke down. Now $950 seems a lot of money. Not if we position it like this. We're telling them how to digest the price. And this is so, so important. We tell them how to digest the price. There's no benchmark, so we have to give them the benchmark. Now I continue. Now, the good news is it's not $25,000. It's not even $12,500, even though that would be a complete no-brainer. Tell them how to think. In fact, today, you don't even have to pay $5,000. We install this entire system and run it for you, and this makes it a complete no-brainer. Again, I know I'm repeating myself here, but I'm telling them how to think. This is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer. I'm drilling this into their head, right? This is a no-brainer. So when I drop the price, their first thought is, oh, that is a no-brainer. So I'm telling them how to think. We do all of this for $950 per month, and that's it. A ridiculously low price and a complete no-brainer. Then I'm going to move on to why it's a complete no-brainer. So giving them logic as to why this is the case. We will build the entire system into your business, create everything, and run it all for you behind the scenes. The AI employee, and I'm going to build a picture of it in their business, the AI employee will be answering the calls around the clock, converting leads into appointments. It's going to ensure that you're not losing the best intent-driven prospects to your competitors. Again, pay attention to how I said that. The system will maximize your reviews, meaning prospects choose you instead of your competitors. Again, insecurity, right? Listen to what I'm saying. The system will drive referrals every month, meaning every 3 customers on average bring 1 new customer at no cost. This increases your customer base by 30% without having to spend any money on marketing. Again, removing an objection. Then our follow-up system gets your customers coming back over and over again. Then our reactivation system nurtures your database and converts those leads into new customers that are just sitting there. Now watch what I'm about to do. There's a reason I did it in this order. There's a reason I anchored this first. If your service is $2,000 and you convert 1 single customer a month from all of those different systems, you double your money. These systems in reality are far more powerful than that. Each of them can convert multiple customers per month. I mean, don't you think there's 1 customer in your database who needs pushed over the line? Is there a phone call per month that you miss that could turn into a customer? There's probably 1 per day, never mind 1 per week, right? Do you do good work and you know your customers would refer you new business if you had a way of getting it? Would that result in 1 new customer a month? Is your work good enough that you get 1 new customer if you just asked? You can start to see how ridiculous this is. Of course it would drive that business. I'm completely underestimating here to show you how much of a no-brainer this offer actually is. Even at those ridiculously low levels of 1 customer, 1 single customer from all of those avenues, you still double your money. And you save yourself months and months of learning. And of course, risk in getting it wrong. We both know if we plug this system into your business, the work that you do, the good work, the way you work with customers, it would do much, much more. I told you this was going to be a no-brainer. This is the fast track. We get this set up and live within 7 days. So you see how I've price anchored, I've brought it all the way down. I've then flipped it to show them the return as to why this is a complete no-brainer. It's ridiculous, but there's reason, because even if they just get 1 single customer, they double their money. Of course, it's a no-brainer. And remember earlier, I told them that most people look for 10% returns, not doubling their money. So I've anchored and told them what to think about doubling their money. And then I've presented them doubling their money as this ridiculously low outcome. You see how I'm bouncing around what they're thinking? So I'm basically, if you think about it as different objections, right? All these different objections someone can have, I'm basically tackling them all of those objections. at different points by going back and forth, just from different angles, presenting it in different ways. Then I progress. Now, if that's enough for you and you just want to get started, there's a button below to sign up and we'll get you moving. Scheduling an onboarding call or an onboarding chat to get the info that we need to build it out for you. Now, and again, listen very closely to what I'm saying here. There's a rhythm to what I'm saying. If you do have a question before you sign up, you can also book a call on my calendar and I'll answer the questions before you decide to install the system. So again, what I'm doing here, the reason I've said it that way is because I'm building intent. I'm not saying book a call and we can chat. I'm saying before you sign up, you're signing up, but you've got questions beforehand. I'm building intent. So they book that call with the intention to sign up. This is like the final nail in the coffin, right? This is the final piece because the workshop itself has got them in a position where they're ready to buy. And I'm simply saying, just before you make that purchase, maybe you've got a couple of questions, I can take care of them. The assumption is that they're going to move forwards. We're just answering a couple of questions here. You see the difference in what I'm saying? I'm not leaving it open-ended. It's actually something, what I've spoken many times about when I worked in the financial industry and I had very toxic colleagues and a boss that was extremely toxic. That was one very valuable thing he taught me. He said, never leave it open-ended. Never ask if someone wants to chat or never ask them, do you have any questions? Ask them something very specific. Otherwise, you open the door to more. So we don't open the door to more questions, to more thoughts, to more decisions. I leave them one open door. It fast tracks your whole process and it stops all this thinking about it stuff that we've all seen, right? We've all seen. I've got to think about it. So we remove that. And it's as simple as that. Finally, you remind them of the outcomes once again. And then you go to the call to action once again. So we go back over the outcomes of gathering those reviews so they don't choose the competitor over them and so on. We reiterate the outcomes. And that is how we construct day 3. And that is our flow, and that is our transition. Now, after day 3, you can book calls where it will be very quick questions and very, very high closing rates. You'll also get automatic sales coming in, probably a mix of both. Right? People who just buy on the spot because they've heard enough. And then you've got people who have a few more questions and you just take care of them and they buy. Your conversion rate will be ridiculously high if you follow this process because it has been engineered to work with their psychology throughout the process. That's the difference. This is how we get ridiculous amounts of sales so quickly in short periods of time. And most of the time without sales calls. But I'm saying $1,000 per month if you're doing it at that price point. Do a call, give them the door or open the door for a call before they sign up because they don't view it as $1,000 per month and you don't want them to view it that way. They view it as 3,000, 6,000, 12,000 because they know they're not staying for one single month. And you don't want them to have the intention to stay 1 month, right? This is designed to get the quality customers. So you want to give them that chance to book a call because it's worth far more to you. So on day 4, 5, and 6, you are sending them day 3 back out as a recording for them to refresh and watch. Now, day 5 and day 6, you can actually take the transcriptions or the scripts that you built for your workshop, feed them to ChatGPT, and basically create a value impact sequence for the emails. So you're presenting it instead of them having to watch the workshop day 3 again. We do that on day 4, where they can watch day 3 again. You're actually giving them the next step of the workshop in written form, basically, right? A shorter, more condensed version, but in written form so that they can physically see the words on the paper because maybe they like to read more than they like to watch. Big component of this too. It's very important because A workshop does typically have a bit of a lag to it as well, right? 4 to 5 days afterwards, it will still be hot. There'll be purchases coming in, clients signing up. It's not until after day 6 where things start to settle down and quieten down. Day 4 to 5 is your prime time. They're going to be asking questions during this time. Answer them quickly. Do not delay. If in these workshops, I am often up at ridiculous hours, and I just honestly, I just accept it. I'm up at ridiculous hours for a few days, and that's it, because I answer very, very, very quickly, right? Because I want to catch people while they're hot. So I see the mistakes people make often, and it's trying to automate things when sometimes just a little bit of hustle gets you there, right? Just doing the extra, going the extra mile, doing the extra thing, just will tip it over the line. So work hard for a week. You can close a large number of prospects, then you can take a week off, do whatever you want. The reason this works is because of the time spent, the connection, and the psychological positioning we put the prospect into here. It's incredibly powerful. And that is how we construct day 3 and lead to the pitch. And that is the magic behind it. Now, before I open up for any questions that people have, I am going to be doing a session on if you have a lower price point or you want to create a landing page, what I would create for that for the end of day 3. I'll be doing a session. I've just literally recorded an entire 3-day workshop today. That's why my voice is pretty hoarse. And I'm going to show you the landing page I built. And it's actually for the agency lab itself, right? It's actually for that. So it's very contextual for you. And you'll see how I build it, the things I focus on. That's going to go at the end. But again, if you have a 500 to 2,000, 3,000 per month service, or if you have a 5,000 upfront fee, whatever, just have the sales call. Because it becomes an order taking call. That's the solution for that. All right, I'm out of breath after all that. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, we cannot take a week off because we don't have the team yet. So when we close all these people, we need to start implementing the systems.
True. In that case, take your laptop to the beach is what I'd recommend.
Yes.
But yeah.
It's very funny what you said about like the becoming a second nature and being like, I had that when I was doing a lot of interview at some point to look for a job. And there was a moment where I was almost like feeling like I was in front of the person talking, but a part of me was watching us from outside and analyzing what he wanted me to say, as an answer to his question. And I think it's a bit the same kind of experience but applied to sales in that way.
Yeah, exactly. You find yourself it just becomes the way that you speak. And it's a very powerful way to speak because sales is in everything, right? Today I had a problem with some medication that I have. And as I'm traveling tomorrow, the shipping stuff took a day delay and I wasn't going to get it and stuff. And the woman was saying to me, because I had to buy it again. And the woman was saying to me, oh, well, I'll be here. And I can't guarantee it. So you have to use these skills in every facet of life. And I got it today. And it happens and it works and everything. I used the same techniques. I used the same thing, the same speech flow or pattern of speech. And you'll be amazed at how well this actually works. And once you learn how to do it, you start to, I'm not going to say you start to win arguments, but you win those little battles to get what you want, right? You start to win those because you're saying the right things at the right time and you know what they're going to say back. So yeah, I do think that probably is very similar to what you experienced. And once you turn this corner and you become second nature, writing copy becomes very easy, building funnels, sending emails, sales, even speaking to a client, so much easier because you know what they're going to say. But yes, that's the magic of it. Does anybody else have any questions they wanted to ask? Feel free to ask. It doesn't have to be about this. It can be about whatever you want. to ask questions about, feel free to unmute yourself or ask in the chat. I'm happy to answer anything. Anybody have anything they want us to cover? Do you find that useful? You want me to cover different aspects of it, other parts you didn't understand that you would like me to dive into in more detail over the next sessions and focus on particular areas? Charles, you got something?
Niall, I know you're going to be traveling. Will this get uploaded, or will you be posting it? I know one of them got uploaded into the system, and then the other one you posted in the group. So I know you're going to be traveling. Will you have a chance to get this?
Yeah, I'm going to be posting it tonight, actually. It takes about 2 hours to come to my inbox, but I'm going to be posting it tonight.
Perfect.
It's on my to-do list for the evening. All right. Does anybody else have any questions they wanted to ask? And if you have feedback on what you want me to explain further, please let me know, because I take this from my position and I might skim over parts because they're second nature to me that maybe that you want more clarification on. And I promise you, if you have that question, other people will also have that question. So there are no silly questions, I guarantee you. And I know that because I receive 100% of the questions. So I know that the same question comes in 10 times. So trust me, someone else has that question too. Let me know if you'd like to see anything.
Hi, Neil. Yeah, this is Daryl here. Yeah, how do we actually market this 3-day workshop? How do we angle it to invite the business owners to participate in our workshop, to be interested in our workshop?
Well, it's all outcome based, right? So you focus only on the outcomes itself. And maybe that's a session that I'll do actually, because that'd be a useful session. How to actually get the traffic for it. Now, outcome focused, what they're going to learn, the problems that we're solving on that workshop. Not that there's anything to buy, nothing like that. If you're doing it by email, what I would do is I would have it positioned that you're running a workshop in 48 hours in 2 days. And you're able to then just send that evergreen, right? Because for every new prospect you pour into it, it happens in 2 days. And you can then you can host the workshop on a page, just on Go High Level, and send the link to them to watch the workshop. And honestly, I would probably send it out to even the people who don't say yes. Just send it to them anyway. Why not? Right? I know for a fact they watch the video because I have the stats, right? I know even if they don't say yes, they watch it and then they get sold themselves. So you'd be surprised at what happens. So feel free to just send it to them as well. I would segment your list. I would say like the ones that have replied, send them the workshop, follow up with them, check in with them. But those who haven't replied, send the link to them anyway over the course of the 3 days. You're going to get some unsubscribes. That's fine. That's natural. It happens. Don't worry about that.
But we won't send them our website, right? The website, because you will, when they see the outside website, they will be knowing that we will be selling the system.
No. So what you do is on Go High Level, I like to think of it like the movie theater experience, right? Where you have a page on Go High Level, and it's like, imagine like, see this slide that I'm sharing here? Imagine that's what it looked like, but where you've got this diagram here, this one here, it's like a big box that has video. You have one headline, no call to action. Take that away. And it's like a movie theater. So they're not on your website. They're just watching this with no other distractions. You just create one for day 1, day 2, and day 3 and send the links to them for those particular days. So they're not going to the website. They're just, all they can see is the movie theater.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Good question. And this is something, again, these are things, these questions are what we'll build, because as I said, more people will have these questions. So I'll build more content around that for you so you know what to do and get into the details. As you have seen, I've spent probably 4 hours now over the past 3 weeks going over each day. So there's a lot of content for each day. I can't cover, I'll be here for 6 hours if I was, and the attention span, they're not, no, naturally humans don't have that long of an attention span. So there's no point. It'd be a waste of your time because it wouldn't go in. So we're doing it in segments here. So I'll do a segment about the page, potentially next on the emails, what that looks like. and build on top of this, but this is why I'm separating it. So you really give each day the importance that it needs to have. Just like I said earlier in this presentation, it's important to get it right. You know, you want to get this right. It's very important. So you've got to give it the respect, or each day the respect that particular day deserves. All right. Charles?
Yeah, quick question. I know a couple of weeks ago you did the creating demand on command. Do they kind of go hand in hand? Because you had that as like part 1. So is this kind of...
Yeah, creating demand on command was the concept of workshops. Then
Gotcha.
the subsequent were day 1, day 2, day 3. So the how to build. So creating demand and command was the concept. Then the next videos were the how to.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Any other questions from anybody? Feel free.
Neil, you were saying that there's some you WhatsApp us on that this option for us to build this leads generation directly into the system, right?
Yeah. So basically, what I was saying was within the hyper personalization engine, what I'm planning on doing is actually having the ability to get leads as part of it too. So like instead of having to dig from Apollo or whatever, you can just get leads. So I'm going to build that into it. Yeah.
But is it very difficult? A lot of effort or easy?
No. You would just say, no. You would just say I want 1,000 leads in the chiropractor space. I want 1,000 leads in home builders or whatever, and you get 1,000 leads. That's all it is.
But in terms of the country location, right? Is it only certain countries, or it is universal? You can get from, like for my case, actually, I'm in Singapore lah, so I don't know whether they can get the leads for Singapore also.
Typically, it's for the vast majority of countries. It's basically based on publicly available data, right? That's what any lead source is based on. So as long as the data is publicly available, it should be able to be taken care of. So yeah, you should be able to get it Singapore.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Just quickly rebounding on the lead gen. The lead mash is really good. I have to say, the quality of the leads that you get back for like this $3 for 1,000 leads. It's quite it's really like from the Apollo, and I've been looking through the list. Like I just got a batch of 1,000 again, and yeah, it's because I wanted to see the kind of quality with like asking for business owners and stuff like that, and it's pretty good. Pretty good. So I'm quite impressed, and I got the first name last name this time with that.
Excellent. My goal with it is to basically be able to provide you the leads for free. That's my goal, right? So you'll be able to get leads, and there'll be a quota per month, of course, because otherwise AI costs will rack up. But basically, you won't have to pay for it.
That'd be brilliant to have it integrated in a way like that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. So it'll be the same.
Great.
All right. Any other comments, questions, anything before we wrap up for the day? Feel free if you want to get your question in.
Neil, I'm just thinking about the agent. The AI agent, it does not actually it cannot actually integrate with WhatsApp, is it?
I think there's a way to do it. I think there is a way to do it, actually. I believe there is. I have to check on that, but I believe that there is. It's not a direct integration, but I think there might be a workaround for it where it can.
Oh, I'm just thinking like whether in future, like if you put in WhatsApp, whether that would be more powerful lah. I mean, that I don't know. just thinking only lah. Yeah.
It depends on your location. Europe, probably Singapore as well. WhatsApp is far more popular. In the UK as well, WhatsApp is very popular. The US, not quite as much. WhatsApp isn't quite as widely used in the US. But
I think most US use a lot of SMS, I think.
They do, and iMessage is very, very popular in the US, iMessage. And there are actually extensions you can get that will send iMessages as well.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No problem. No problem. All right. Anybody else have any last words, for lack of a better way to say that? Give it a few seconds.
So
Daryl?
Neil, your like when we look at a particular niche in order to choose a particular niche, we have to see how big is the market, like how many potential leads are there in the market before we check as a criteria to choosing the niche, is it?
Well, yeah,
Is it like
yes, no.
if they
I mean, I wouldn't
if
go
let's say the
after.
beauty spa there's only 100 over in, let's say, in my country, then
Well,
do you see that is it big enough a market to market?
It is because your conversion rate will be higher in Singapore if you are located in Singapore, right? It will be higher naturally.
Yeah.
So just because it's a smaller market doesn't mean you can't go into that market. Would I go after painters called John? Like, only going after painters called John? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't segment that far. But would I go after beauty clinics in Singapore? Yeah. Is it going to be your entire business? No, but you can get 5 of them. It could be $5,000 a month. Then you go get 5 other types of it. Doesn't have to be the same niche all the time. That's the beauty of the system, is you can rotate niches very easily and very simply. But I like small niches because no one touches them, right? Nobody touches them at all. So I go for those ones, and I understand that, okay, I'm not going to get 1,000 customers here. That's okay. I don't have to. So don't be afraid of a small niche. Go after. I love the weird sort of markets and things like that. I was telling Charles earlier that in the chiropractic space, right? People think go to the chiropractic space and they'll just target chiropractors and get adjustments. No. What I did was I went into spinal decompression, which then led me, which is, again, I just asked ChatGPT about that. Then it led me into someone, I sent an email about spinal decompression. A chiropractor said, I don't do that, but do you do peripheral neuropathy? I was like, what the hell's that? Googled it. Yep, sure, I can figure that out. No problem. Then it was something called stem cell treatment. They can't market that really, but they can tap into existing leads. So yeah, we can figure that one out too. Unique angles in these hyper competitive markets work very, very well, because nobody ever, like, I also, my email the other day, I said commercial solar. Everyone targets solar. I focused on commercial solar because no one ever touches them. So think about it that way. Think a little differently, not necessarily some unique, weird, wonderful niche, a different speaking to them.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
No worries. Olivia?
Yeah, just on that, I understand then if it's on an existing niche from the one that we have in the list, that we can deploy the system. Okay, we add a little bit of the extra angle in the sequence, in the AI employee and all that. But if we go for a smaller niche, completely unique in that way, then that's how long would you give, like, because we're going to have to recreate the whole process. How long will it be to create all that? Because we cannot announce 7 days then in that way. What would it be?
It doesn't have to be a completely different niche. It can be a subset of that niche, like life insurance, right? Huge niche, but you can go into final expense only agents, or agents only focus on final expense. You just change the offer. It's not much of a change.
And what would be the kind of, in which part do we have to do adjustment then?
It would just be in the offer section. So, for example, you could add a bit more detail to the AI employee. It would be the database reactivation. You just have it speak about final expense as an offer rather than broad. And even things like accounting and finance. The one example I gave to Charles was people think they go into the accounting space or the financial advising space and they target, get your high net worth clients. No. Pension transfers. Nobody ever talks to them about that, but they get 4% of whatever the transfer was. Big niche. Oh, not small niche, big commissions. So they're all ears. They want to hear it. But again, same market, different point of contact.
Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
No worries. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Feel free. Nobody? Give it a few more seconds. 3, 2. All right. Well, thank you for coming, everybody. Hopefully you found benefits and value in that session. My voice, as you can hear, is going hoarse now. So I'm going to get a cup of tea and I'll get this session uploaded and posted if you want to watch the replay. Any questions, as ever, let us know. I'm going to be traveling tomorrow from about 11 a.m. UK time, so about 6 a.m. Eastern, all the way through until late in the evening, like 11 p.m. Not 11 p.m. Like, yeah, but 1 a.m. my time. So I'm going to be, I think I'll have Wi-Fi on the plane, so I'll be able to communicate. But yeah, I will be a little bit in and out tomorrow as I transit. But I'll get back to you as soon as I can if you have any questions. All right. I'll chat to everybody soon. Thank you for coming, as ever. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. All right. See you, everyone. See, I'm going to wrap up now.